Checking people. Back with another reaction, back with some more acid trance, and we're back with another tune from the master Pablo Gargano. We're going to listen to a tune he did, which maybe it's not a hidden gem. I think people who know Pablo's work and enjoy his material are familiar with it. But it's a tune from 1997, so by this time, Eve, the label, his main output is well and truly on its way. He's carving out his legacy in that regard. Obviously, he would begin to make records for Teleka, I think, by 97. But Metropolitan is actually a label he was making records for before they started Eve and got that going. But he continued to make occasional records for Metropolitan even after Eve got started and was underway. This is such a record. This is from 1997. And it's interesting because this is a B2 track that we're going to listen to. Now, it's not always the case that the A-side track, which often gets its own side, if there's 4 tunes, maybe not, maybe it's 2 and 2, but regardless, the A1 track in many cases is at least expected to be the sort of marquee tune from the vinyl. So oftentimes a B2 track is like, it's a throw-in. It was a good tune, maybe people use it as a filler, which for me is not actually as much of an insult as I think other people mean it when they say that. I feel like fillers are tunes that can maintain the energy and atmosphere of a particular set, but also bridge together tunes which by their very nature demand a little bit more focus and attention. But obviously you can't do track after track after track that's kind of a big marquee tune like that, because eventually they sort of mute each other, drown each other out a little bit. So yeah, for me a filler can still be a great tune. Regardless, I do not think this is a filler, even in my more positive interpretation. We're going to listen to Kill That 303 by Pablo. I don't remember when I first heard this. I don't think I got it until I was using Discogs. I mentioned before, back in the day, buying Pablo records, I didn't know I was buying Pablo records. I was buying Eve records, and I enjoyed them very much, but they didn't have names of artist or track. So it wasn't until I started using Discogs I sort of figured out what's going on. And then I, filled out my Pablo collection over the next few years. So this is one I probably got '08 or something like that, '09. But it's just a brilliant tune, and it's funny to me because the other tracks on this record are good, but this is by far and away the best track, I would say. So it's interesting to me that it was put as the B2 track on the release. Anyway, we'll get to it. This is Pablo Gargano, and the track is Kill That 303. As you might expect with a name like that, it is a very acid-saturated track. It is super saturated. There's a main sort of wicked acid bass riff. And eventually, this dark, sort of stormy day melody comes into the track, and then shortly after that, the melody becomes sort of chopped up and fragmented, and by the time we get there, we're just in acid trance bliss. So here we go. This is Pablo Gargano, Kill That 303 from Metropolitan Records, 1997. You little bastard. Sounds like a basketball game. Got that sort of basketball type kick, and then the little squeaks sound like sneakers on a wood court. I do love that though. The beep, 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 boop, beep, beep. And please don't kill that 303. Please let it live and sing. Bass come in, that extra low, now that sounds like there's a squeaky wheel or some sort of digital virus going through a computer system. just that steady bass riff, like. Listen to all the shifting in the percussion, like every 16, every 32. Back up. The acid sound is like, this is already bliss, but we're not even like halfway there, so to speak. Sing it out. Very like wet and liquidy. As if a rain has just started. It's like gray skies and like thunderstorms. It's exactly what the track needed at that point. I mean, I'd love it if it was just kind of like that main acid. This is a real acid twisted track, but this takes it to another level. Strips it down, it feels like, alright, probably like a charismatic outro. 8 beats later, it swings so much of it back into the track. It's like, oh, now he's just having fun with the gurgles and the acid swizzles. next one it was like a double hit, like in the place of one kick, It's funny, this is another tune where I don't usually use it as an end of mix track. So by this time I'm usually on my way out. Like, I'm not sure I've like heard it just pure all the way to the end in a long time. Yeah, it's a fantastic tune. And again, maybe not underrated among people who are very fond of Pablo's work. But yeah, like people who love hard trance from the 90s, I don't think that's one that's going to stand out to them immediately. It's not one that they're going to mention right away. Whereas, you know, Commander Tom, RMI or something, they'll be all over that. So yeah, I think it's a great tune and perhaps underrated in a larger context, even if, you know, again, people who know Pablo surely are aware of that track. Although if not, you know, I think there's a reason that some of us have been, you know, like I felt like I was sleeping on it, because again, by the time that I got this record, I already knew Pablo, and I already had several Eve records. Or I had several Eve records going back, but by this point I had many more of them, and I knew about Pablo, and it was like, oh, and he's on Telica, and like whatever, and yeah, Metropolitan, I have some of the early ones and whatever, and it's like, oh, here's another one by on Metropolitan by Pablo. It's like, all right, that's a cool tune, that's a cool tune. Oh wait, what? The B2 tune is like one of my favorite from Pablo ever? What the hell? So yeah, bottom line, top track, shout out to Pablo again. Tasso's pointed out to me, in 2020, like there's been a couple tracks that he's actually come back and made recently. I knew a few months ago about one that he made in 2019, but it was Tech House. Now Tech House, not really my thing. Again, it's cool. When I learned of it, I was like, oh, he did actually come back and make a track after many years of not producing. That's cool. Maybe not my bag, maybe not something I'm going to go out of my way to, like, you know, find on Bandcamp or whatever, but, you know, respect to Pablo for producing again. But Tassos really recently pointed out to me in 2020 he made a track that it's basically acid trance. It's like maybe a bit slower than his old like classic acid / hard trance, but it's very much the same vibes. The acid work is wicked, the melody, the sequencing, it's all Pablo. So I'm going to react to that one. Do let me know what you think of this track. I will see you next time. Peace.